Hello and welcome to the Revenge of the Drive-In commentary track for a Paramount picture, Raiders of the Lost Ark, also known as Indiana Jones and the Raiders of the Lost Ark. Unfortunately, I hate that movie's kind of been retitled now on DVD. It's like the Star Wars episode crap.
But has it been retitled, or was it originally Indiana Jones and...
No, it was just Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Oh, well, because the second
Look at the fucking title screen right now.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Well, was the second one Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom?
And the Temple of Doom, yeah.
But they are kind of trying to go for that kind of, like, 30s serial vibe, right? So...
Sure. Right, what does that have to do with it? Yeah, I love the casualness. It's like, oh yeah, I have a giant snake. I thought you'd be okay with that. Like, I didn't think I needed to tell you that I have this 15-foot long snake. That is a big snake, too. That's not a...
Yeah, it's like a boa or something. It's terrible.
Yeah, that's not a corn snake.
This always scared me as a kid.
Do you have a fear of wicker?
I know. I have a fear of being picked up and then stuck in like a wicker basket.
So yeah, the fear comes down to wicker, yeah.
Yeah. Though I do like this monkey a lot.
Sure.
I think he's one of my favorite actors in this movie.
He's a fucking narc. I'd be shocked if he weren't the highest grossing director
of
all time. You know, maybe the George Lucas movies have made more money, but George Lucas hasn't directed as much.
Yeah.
And James Cameron hasn't directed as many films, although like his movies are guaranteed blockbusters whenever he actually makes them. But Spielberg has greatly benefited from being underrated, and I mean underrated by the MPAA. Because if some of those movies were R-rated, they would have been successful. They wouldn't have been as successful, though. And, you know, like if Jaws was rated R and only grossed like what The Exorcist did, which The Exorcist was a really successful movie, but it wasn't the first summer blockbuster. You know, if Jaws was like that, I don't know. It's just interesting to kind of think about. Spielberg's gotten the benefit of the doubt with his movies. National Treasure is kind of like a Da Vinci Code that's not up its own ass.
Yeah, because it knows what it is, and it knows that it's just
and what I mean by the Da Vinci Code, I think Dan Brown was aware of what he was doing. I think certainly a lot of people reading the Da Vinci Code weren't aware that it was fiction, and I'm not sure, you know, I haven't seen the Da Vinci Code movie since the theater. It's really not any good. Yeah, they definitely thought they were saying something interesting about history and about the history of the Catholic Church, and they're just not. And I remember years ago, there was a question posed to me. Actually, I think I posed this question to someone else, someone who was studying theology, but which field is Dan Brown the biggest insult to? There's a lot of options here. History, archaeology, theology, art history,
yeah.
or literature. I think they're all valid. I think it's a difficult. It's you could say any one of them, and I can't argue against it.
Oh, absolutely. If I had to pick any one of them, though, I guess I would have to go something like art history, maybe, because like
I think art history is the one. From what little I remember of having read some of the Dan Brown books, I think art history is probably the one he's most shockingly wrong on, but it's also probably the least actively relevant in his works. I just remember, so, you know, and I'm shitting on Dan Brown. I actually liked, at least back in the days, reading some of his books. I liked Angels and Demons quite a bit. I thought the Da Vinci Code was a lousy book. I thought... See, The Lost Symbol was his like American history one, which was funny because it kind of felt like Dan Brown was ripping off National Treasure, which was already ripping off Dan Brown, so it was just kind of weird. But I remember liking that one. And then he did his, I think it's just called Inferno, and it's his like Dante-inspired one. And that I thought was bad, but I thought it was like pretty interesting for most of it. And then it had literally the worst ending in literary history. But
that's good.
I also remember there was something in that there's like a really specific description of a painting. And the painting was by and I always forget this guy's name. So and you're the art history guy, and I've brought this guy up before, but I obviously didn't give enough of a description because we couldn't name him then, or you couldn't name him then. But there's this guy from the Middle Ages who made like famously dark paintings.
I think we've spoken about this before, and I think I've said Hieronymus Bosch.
Yes, it is. That is it. But the last time we brought him up, I don't think we got the name right. But I think we were maybe leaning towards Goya, because Goya has the famous Saturn
devouring his child,
yes.
or whatever it is.
But yeah, Hieronymus Bosch. It's like this description of a Hieronymus Bosch painting that I wasn't really aware of. And it was like, and it was like, it was like a weird description. It was like everything was red, and it's like all this, and it's like, and then I'm like, okay, let me just Google this painting, and there was like no red in it whatsoever.
Oh, that's good.
And it's like, what? Did he just? That's just such a weird thing to be shockingly wrong about. But obviously, I mean, he did it because he could get away. Like, no one cares. In a visual medium, that would matter. But if you're just reading a book, you can just say whatever the hell you want to say. Like, you could convince someone in a book that the Golden Gate Bridge is in the background of the Mona Lisa, and someone would buy it in the context of like a Da Vinci Code type book, right?